Yo, what's going on, Snipers, and welcome back to our New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So I hope you guys had a great Christmas holiday or just a holiday in general. I know I had a great time, and I'm excited to get back into making content again to wrap up 2024. But anyways, if you did not catch the last episode, we started up the season simulation after having free agency, and so far this team has been off to a quite bad start, 12-17-5. The only positive seen, as you can see below me, is that our penalty kill is 5th in the league. Everything else has been pretty bad. We're 24th in offense, 26th in goals against, and dead last on the power play. So it's been definitely not the best year for this team so far, which is kind of good because obviously we want to have more picks in this upcoming draft. But surprisingly, our top line has still been actually pretty good. We have Anton Frundell, who's point per game right now. We have Cook on 17 goals and 29 points, so he's building off of a great rookie season. And then we have Mäkinen in his rookie season with 15 goals as a playmaker and 26 points. So those guys have been great. You also have Dobson doing decent from offense on the back end. Everybody else, I would say, is a little bit below average, but we've been getting some pretty bad results from guys like Kevin Crane, which is not great considering he had a really good rookie year. So I'm hoping that we could find a way to maybe make him simulate a little bit better as the rest of the season goes on. Same with Olli Houghton. These guys had great rookie seasons, but they're having kind of a sophomore slump, so to speak. So hopefully we could find a way to make them a bit better. Salmelainen's still been pretty good, I would say, for the most part, because he's even 0 in terms of plus minus, so at least he's been playing good defensively. And yeah, we just need some other guys to kind of step up a little bit. Like the youngster and Boyd, not doing that great, but obviously he's a really young defenseman, so I don't expect him to be the best defenseman in the world right out of the gate. And then our goaltending has been kind of weird. Despite us both having 286 overall goaltenders, one has a 909, the other one has an 863. So these guys haven't been elite, which is not great. We are eventually going to have to probably choose between one of the other as our starting goaltender. But obviously, I think that comes this offseason maybe because obviously right now Khudobin is a pending RFA again. He's got only the 1 year left on his contract. And Solovyov's ELC, I believe, comes to an end this offseason. Yes, it does. So we will probably have to make a decision between one of the two of these guys going forward. So far, Khudobin's obviously played a lot more games, but Solovyov has been maybe kind of stuck as a backup, but he should be probably a starter because his first few years here in Long Island haven't been super good. So hopefully we can find a way to get him simulating a little bit better, and then maybe he's that guy that takes over and Khudobin's the one to leave because Khudobin's a bit older. So there is some decisions to obviously make down the road, but obviously right now I'm excited just to see how this top line finishes off the season, and hopefully we get some decent results in terms of growth and all that stuff during the off season. Hopefully we get a good pick in this year's draft again, because also I think that's kind of interesting is we do have the Devils' first round pick this year, and there's a chance that it could be a top 5 pick in this year's draft. So somehow the Devils have fallen off so badly after last season. I think they made the playoffs, if I remember right. But you can see at the moment, us and New Jersey are both in the bottom 6 in the league. So there is a chance that we might have 2 really good picks coming to this team. They could be both elite players. Maybe one's an elite, one's a top 4 defenseman or a top 6 forward. But regardless, we're going to be getting 2 good players. And yeah, very excited to see what those players end up being like. So anyways, there is that. Let's get into the one and only comment we got in last episode, and then we will get into probably simulating the rest of the season in this episode. I honestly don't know if I'll make any trades as well. I just might simulate the rest of the season and see how these youngsters progress, because at this stage we know we're not going to probably be a playoff team based on how we've been playing, but obviously I want to kind of just see how the rest of the season shapes up for our prospect pool and for the players on our roster. So the only comment is from Sound Taco, who says, you need to fill out your AHL coaching staff since you are in rebuild mode and need to get the prospects as much growth as possible. So I guess we didn't hire enough coaches for the AHL is what he's trying to say. Yeah, we do need still a goalie coach in the AHL, so we will hire a goalie coach for the AHL team, because that way maybe we can get some growth from some of those goalie prospects that are in the minors, because we are going to need a future backup at some stage to basically replace whoever ends up being get rid of in the roster. So Khudobin's probably the guy that's going to leave eventually, but I'm not too sure on that yet. Really depends on who's simulating better and all that, but we'll just bring in Dominic Pruka as the goalie coach in the AHL, so hopefully that elite goaltender that's in the minors, who's a little bit old, he's already 23, not really developing, hopefully he gets more growth as the season goes on, because he could be a backup next season if he develops well enough. If he doesn't, obviously we have other prospects that we could go to, but we probably need more goalie prospects this upcoming draft, I would assume. Yeah, because if we go to unsigned, we don't have actually any unsigned goalie prospects. So basically, the one we're relying on here is Medvedov to develop, because Nikulin probably won't develop because he's only a fringe starter. But aside from that, you can see it's just these two guys. So either we could run a double-edged sword of these two guys, but they don't seem to assimilate well together, or maybe we find a backup to basically replace the one we let go of. So that will be something we come to maybe this off season. So I think we're ready to continue simulating then, because that coach should accept. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to do before I continue simulating. Maybe make some line adjustments. That's definitely something we could do. Because Crane, like I said, has been pretty bad so far, so I want to get him going. Rakoff in that third line has been better than the second line. So what I am going to do is I'm going to move Crane down to the third line. He is still listed as a third line scoring forward. So I'll get him to play with Rakoff and Maggio and see if that helps his development a little bit in terms of player stats. Hopefully he plays better playing on that third line. Like right now, this is his stat line just in case we want to take note of this in a couple games. He's got 14 points and a minus 20. So we'll see if he does any better being on that third line. I guess we don't really care too much about Edward Sales, so having Crane get on a spot where maybe he could do better might make more sense. He might have been on the first line power play last season, and that's why. But he is still on the first line power play this year. Our power play has been pretty bad. I'm trying to think if there's a way to get this power play to maybe do better. What if I move... I don't want to move if I want to move Crane to the second unit. Because I was thinking about maybe moving Cook up here, getting Dobson onto this unit. Because Salmalainen, I don't know if he deserves power play time, but we could just keep it the same. To be honest, I don't really care too much how this power play assimilates, but I hope it does improve as the season goes on a little bit. Yeah, I think we'll just keep the rest of that the same. So the only adjustment really is Crane going down, Sale going up, just so we could see if Crane could get back to his ways from last season. Because last year he had 35 goals, was it? 33 goals and 53 points. This year he's only on pace for like way less than that. So I want a better year from him. He's getting way less power play points this season, so I guess it's just because maybe the power play is struggling or something. But he does have a shorthanded goal this year too, so he's been helping us out in both ways, which is good. But obviously, if we could get that power play going, then his stats probably will get better as well as the season goes on. So let's continue to simulate. We're at January 1st. I think we'll probably simulate the rest of the season in this episode, but I honestly don't know if I will. I know you guys will probably say, hey, simulate the rest of the season in this episode, but at the same time, is there any trades that we would make this season? Probably not, because some of them are just like filler players. We have a lot of prospects that are kind of untouchable at the moment, so I don't think I'm going to make a single trade this season, but we'll see. It depends, I guess, on how we do in this month of January and all that, but let's continue to simulate, and hopefully us in New Jersey don't do too well. But obviously, hopefully New Jersey doesn't do well at all, because if New Jersey gives us a top 5 pick in this year's draft, basically from that Barzal deal, that would be great. We also do have their pick for next year too, so there is a chance we could get a nice pick with that selection as well. Damon Hunt, I think this is. Yeah, Damon Hunt is on waivers. 77 depth defenseman. Don't really need him, but interesting. Still not playing that great offensively, but we're not losing by much in some of these games. Like 2-0 is not a huge loss. 3-1 isn't. 5-1 definitely is. Yeah, this team's definitely not making the playoffs. There's a 7-2 win over the Devils, though, so we do beat the team that's way low in the league and are kind of our rivals in a sense. Not as much as New York Rangers in New Jersey, but that's kind of interesting. Now, we beat them 7-2, considering we're such a bad team, though, so that means the Devils must be doing really rough still at this stage, which is good. Fulp doesn't matter too much. We'll just go continue. 5-3 win over Chicago. Rakoff has been injured with an upper body injury out till February 4th. Okay, that's not too long term. We'll just go replace Per on that. But yeah, this team is definitely not doing too well. So 17, 26, and 5 at January the 31st. Let's take an updated look at Crane's stats. I don't really like looking at stats throughout the season just because I want to kind of get surprised at the end of the season. But I do want to see if Crane has improved since we dropped him down in the lineup. We are going to obviously see everybody else's stats, but that's okay. The top line's still doing relatively well. I mean, Frundell is under point per game now, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So if we go to the left wing side of things, Crane's now up to 5 goals, 12 assists. He's now a minus 23, which means since the start of January. So if we go to split stats and just look at January, he only had 3 assists this month in 14 games, was a minus 3, 32 shots on goal. He is getting less ice time than he was before because he's on the third line, but Yeah, that's not very good. He's definitely on a little bit of a sophomore slump. Like, he's only on the 17 points halfway through the year. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to do as good as he was in his rookie season. But if we could find a way to get him back to his form next season, that'd be great. I think he's on a lot of statistical growth, so that could be the case. But yeah, hopefully he gets going a bit. I don't know if I could do a meeting and just kind of just get his confidence back up there. It's kind of interesting because his overall morale, his individual performance, he's not too mad about his individual performance. It's just more the team performance. But his ice time is good. It's just, yeah, actually his individual performance has been an issue the last few weeks. So I don't know if there's a way I could talk to him and just give him a vote of confidence about his play. Scheme fit position, not really. I know there was old ways of doing that where you'd be able to talk to a player and be like, give them a vote of confidence on their lineup. But I wish I could try and get him to start simulating a little bit better. I just don't really know what we would need to do. Like, how good of a fit is he on our lines? Not a hugely great fit. So obviously, I think still a new coach is in order at some stage. Maybe this offseason, but we definitely should look for a new coach that fits the younger guys better. Because we're still running the coach from our days when we had like Cizikas and stuff on the team. So maybe finding a new coach would change the complexion of this team. But obviously, right now we don't care if we're losing games. We just want to find a way to get a nice pick again in this year's draft, and we probably will get one from New Jersey as well, likely, my guess. Like, how's New Jersey up to in the standings? 18, 26, and 6. So they're very similar to us in terms of record. We are both in the last two spots, actually, in the Metro, which is kind of funny. But New Jersey has a chance to get back into the playoff hunt, but I don't know if they will at this stage. Let's go another month and see what we do in the month of February. Hopefully we continue to fall off, but hopefully we get some good growth from our young guys, and hopefully our young guys start going a bit as we beat the Blues 4-0. So that's a great way to start off the month. Kind of. Because I do want to lose games, but I also want the young guys to do good. So it's kind of a hard thing to say. Do I want wins or do I want losses, basically? So Raykoff is back in. We'll continue to simulate. I can't even see what's going on, though, because this game always likes to go to the month ahead for some reason when you stop the sim. Game against Boston in Boston. 2-1 loss. Yeah, we definitely don't have that consistency. That's been our main issue this season, is finding ways to win like more than 3 in a row. Now we're on a 3-game winning streak, though. We've won almost every game this month. 4 wins in a row. Okay. Is this team all of a sudden trying to take themselves out of a lottery selection, which is not what we want to see, really? Olin's injured. We'll go replace player. Prince, I don't think was ever injured. I don't think he was ever injured. I don't remember. There's another win. Goddamn, this team's all of a sudden trying to get back into the playoffs for some weird reason. Houghton's now been injured with an upper body injury, so that's a pretty big loss. Replace player on that. Olin will come back into the AHL as well. So we'll take Kuffler out and throw in Olin. Olin's actually very close to NHL already, which is pretty awesome because he was an undrafted. I don't know, he was drafted. He was drafted by Utah, and we signed him because he was just let go of by Utah. But that's still a pretty nice signing because he could end up making our NHL roster soon. All right, so that was a fantastic month for this team, and this team's almost now getting back into the playoff hunt because of that. We are still a little bit out of it, but we're almost back to 500. Is it too late? Probably, but I don't know if I like that. We won almost every game that month. Like, I do like it for the players that get some bit more confidence and stuff like that, but we lost literally only 2 games, and we had a large winning streak of 5 games, or 6 games, then we lost 1, then we won 2 more. So this team's cooking as of late, which is not what we want to really see too much, but we do kind of want to see at the same time. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, which side do we take? Like, I'm okay with the young guys doing well, but I also don't want to cheat ourselves out of a really good pick with our own selection. We're still very bad offensively, apparently, though we're 15th in goals against, so our goalies may be improving. Our power play has fallen off a little bit, but not by much, and the power play has improved, but not by much either. So I don't know why we're winning games all of a sudden. But if we go to like the entire league standings here. So if we look at the standings here, we're actually not dead last anymore. And we have actually jumped up to 25th. So we are definitely hurting our lottery chances. The Devils have also moved up to 22nd. So looks like we're trying to cheat ourselves out of elite players. Now there is a chance we could still win the lottery if these teams miss the playoffs and all that. But it's very hard to win the lottery going up this high up. And if we look at the last 10 games in the NHL, you can see both us and New Jersey are been fantastic in our last 10 games. The Devils are 8-1-1, we're 8-2-0. which means both of these teams are trying to cheat me out of very good picks, which is kind of strange, and I don't really like it too much, but I mean, I don't think I can do really anything about it at this stage. I don't know if, let's take actually a look at Crane's stats again here. Maybe Crane all of a sudden is just killing it for us on that third line or something, because we didn't really make that much adjustments. Crane all of a sudden is up to 23.7 goals, so he did score some goals in February, it looks like. If we go to February, which was one of our best months, or definitely our best month, he had 6 points in 11 games, so he's starting to get his production a little bit better, which is nice. But I don't know what's been killing it for this team in terms of making us win games. Maybe just guys are growing. I don't know. Yeah, Boyd's up to an 81 now. Damn. So Boyd's ready to jump up into the top 6, so to speak. Or the top 4, I should say, for that matter. And then the goaltending both still at 86s. Maybe Solovyov's all of a sudden playing good. That would make a difference if the goaltending was doing good. So, I don't really know if there's anything I could do to make us simulate worse, to be honest. Because I don't really want to trade away any players on our roster, because a lot of them are cap whales. Makinen's also jumped up to an 83, so that could be another thing. I think we might as well just keep on simulating. I know we're winning games all of a sudden, but there's nothing I really want to do to make this team not win. Like, I want these guys to do well, but I also don't want to make the playoffs. So hopefully we could kind of go like maybe like a 400 wins percentage, not a 500 win percentage. I don't know exactly, but let's go to a day before the deadline. We'll probably go past the deadline because, like I said, I probably won't make any trades, but hopefully our team falls off here a little bit. There you go, 2 straight losses. Hopefully the Devils also go on a bit of a losing streak near the end of the season, because the way they're playing right now, they could get back into the playoffs, and that would be quite a huge run for them to get basically from where they were to a playoff spot. So we do have 2 games against them this month. So we just don't want any games going to overtime between the 2 of our teams, basically, which is what I'm trying to say. Let's go to a day past the deadline and see if we win this game against Columbus, but we're not going to make any trades this year, which might be a mistake. It might not be, but let's go continue simulating. And do we lose this game as well? Columbus is, after these trade notifications, probably. David Gustafson's on waivers. We did have Gustafson at one point. Not going to claim him, but let's pass that. We lose 8-5. So, okay, maybe this team all of a sudden, after a great little month, is going to have a very bad month. That wouldn't be bad. How are the Devils doing now? 27, 28, and 8. Jeez, they are very close to 500 again. That's kind of crazy. They actually are hurting us a lot here late in this, but that's okay. We do have their pick for next year as well, so hopefully they're worse next year. But if they miss the playoffs just barely, maybe we'll end up winning the lottery with that selection. So let's take a look at the trades that happened at the trade deadline this season. See if there's any interesting trades, like any former players getting dealt around or anything. Activity fee, let's see what we got. So Liam Ogren to Ottawa. Mason Dawes, don't know who that is, probably a generated guy. Michael Bunchinger going to Carolina. Raphael Harvey-Pinard to St. Louis. That's a generated guy. Caden Gooley and Emil Vinny to Ottawa. Jack McBain to Anaheim. That's that Thornton guy we saw before, I think. He goes to Washington. Cody Glass to Anaheim. Matt Coronado to LA. Some generated guys. Yusuf Valimaki to Florida. Atu Ratu to San Jose. Arthur Kaliev to Columbus. A lot of generated players. Mark Scheifele on his way to Columbus. That's a pretty big one. Jeremy Poirier to Detroit. Isaac Lundestrom to Buffalo. Zach Bolduc, Owen Beck, and Connor Bunnaman to Ottawa. I didn't even realize Connor Bunnaman's still playing, to be honest. Noah Cates to Calgary. Connor Zary to Philadelphia. Damn. Jeremy Poirier also got dealt to Seattle. So Poirier got dealt multiple times? Yeah, he did. That's interesting. And that was it. A couple days apart, actually like a month almost apart. Like he got dealt early in February, and then he got dealt at the deadline again. Interesting. All right, so nothing substantial in terms of deals. Let's continue to simulate, and hopefully our team continues to fall off a bit here. It has been on a losing streak now all of a sudden. And hopefully the Devils don't find a way to get back into the playoff hunt, because right now they are not too far out, because last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference is on 66 points. They're on 62. If somehow the Devils make the playoffs, I'm going to be like, how? Like, this game definitely wants to cheese us out of another lottery selection, but if the Devils could even just miss by 2 points, we have a chance to win a lottery spot with them. Okay, so Kaminsky's been injured with a sore knee in the AHL. We'll go replace player, but we just lost 9-2 to the Bruins, so our team was all of a sudden letting in a lot of goals again, just like they were earlier in the season. So I think we're going to start falling off a bit again, which is good to see. We'll take Kirill out. Houghton will jump back in. Nice. Okay, that's good. Continue to simulate. Game against Minnesota. San Jose has fired their head coach, which is kind of funny because they're like dead last in the league. Philman's been injured. We'll go replace player because he doesn't matter too much. There's a win and a loss. Dallas is an 8-2 loss. Damn, we're allowing a lot of goals down the stretch here, which might not be a great thing for our team's plus minus, but hopefully we're still seeing some pretty good results with our top young guys. Cook is up to an 85 still. Makinen is still an 83. I'm very curious on how good that top line is going to finish off the season. Some of you guys probably saw their player stats, but I didn't look at that if I'm not mistaken. So we lost another game there. Let's continue to go. We have 2 games against the Devils coming up, so hopefully the Devils have fallen off a little bit since. Let's actually stop the sim here after this Ottawa game. We do beat Ottawa. So the Devils are above 500 now. They're 32-28-9, and they are in a playoff spot. Oh my goodness. They might actually win the Stanley Cup this year because of that. God damn. They're 2 points up right now. They do have one more game played than the Hurricanes, but they are in fact in a playoff spot. I don't even know how, but they've had a substantially great second half here. So let's beat them. Okay, we do beat them there in regulation, so maybe we could beat them a couple times and make them miss the playoffs so we could get a good pick. That would be a good way of doing it. Who was it that was back? Wallace was injured. I don't think any of these guys need to be in. I think Kaminsky just got thrown in for Wallace is what happened, so that's okay for now. We'll just leave it like that. But yeah, let's just beat the Devils in our matchups against them and hurt their playoff chances if we can. Because any win against them would be huge, basically, for them not making the playoffs, potentially. So we could play a little bit of a spoiler method. Game against Philadelphia is a loss, and we lost that one to the Devils. Damn, that sucks. They're 35-31-9 now. They have not clinched the playoff spot, but they're 4 points up. They do have 2 more games played than the Blue Jackets, but there's a realistic chance they actually could be in the playoffs here. Unless those other teams that are outside of the playoffs start winning games and the Devils start to lose more. Wow. If they make the playoffs, I'm going to be very, very surprised because I didn't see that coming at the start of the season. I could tell you that. Toronto, we got back-to-back against them. Wallace is back for the AHL, which is good. I'm excited to see if anybody from our AHL team makes our NHL team next season. So we'll take Kaminsky out for a second, and Wallace will go in back to this top line. Kaminsky will go back in where Galiev was, or was it Buzaz? I don't even remember who was scratched. Galiev is bottom 6. He's only played 10 games, so yeah, it's definitely him. Buzaz was the one that was actually in the lineup, so we'll go with that. Boom. Hopefully the AHL team's in the playoffs this year, because if they are, that would be actually kind of nice. Okay, so I don't know what we did in the first game, but we win the second game against Toronto. Buzaz has now been injured, so we'll go replace player. And Boyd's been injured with back spasms. That sucks for the rookie. So we will just go replace player for the time being, but his regular season is almost done basically because of that. Did the Devils clinch the playoff spot yet? No, they haven't. They're on 83 points. Wildcard's also on 83 points. Oh, man. I think they're going to end up making it. Like, they might end up making it as a wildcard team, but they also could end up making it as a divisional spot. God damn. How? How did that even happen? They've just been insane in the second half. God damn, man. Was hoping that they would miss at least by just 1 point, but we're also winning a bit too much more games down the stretch, but it's okay, I guess. As long as we have the draft lottery on our side somehow. But it really sucks that the Devils somehow managed to have such a great second half. Wasn't expecting it. And I don't think any of you guys expected them to make the playoffs after all that. There's a win over Utah. And the Devils have not clinched yet. They're on 86 points in 80 games. The Hurricanes are right on their ass. And the Hurricanes have a game in hand. So that could be a huge factor. An absolute huge factor. Also, the Sens are in the playoffs right now, too. Just barely as well in that wild card spot. So we got to hope that the Sens can win their last 2 games. And then the Hurricanes win more than the Devils down the stretch, basically. If they lose and miss the playoffs by 1 point, That would be huge for our confidence in terms of the draft lottery. Devils won again. They're up to 88 points in 81 games. Hurricanes are still right 1 point behind them. So this is actually kind of insane. I don't feel like I've ever watched other teams in terms of how they simulate, but we really want to hope here that the Devils could find a way to lose one of these last games and the Hurricanes could jump them. Let's see. Devils do not play their last game of the season yet. Let's see what we got here. Day. Buzaz is back for Bridgeport. We'll get him back in. Hopefully Bridgeport's in the playoffs, but I just really want to see these kids getting a chance to play in the playoffs. And hopefully some of them are on our NHL roster next season. Potentially. Let's see. So, standings. Devils are on 88 points in 81 games. Hurricanes lost that game, so it comes down to the last game of the season for both those two teams. Hurricanes are on 87 points in 81 games. Devils are on 88 points in 81 games. If both these teams win, the Devils make it. If the Devils lose in overtime, the Hurricanes could still make it into the playoffs. I don't even know when they played each other recently, if they've played each other in this last game or not, but that's going to be a huge one. And then also, technically, if the Sens don't win, I think both those two teams could hypothetically knock the Sens out of the playoffs as well. So that's going to be interesting. So let's find out. I guess I don't know if they play today or if they play the day after this, but let's find out. They end up making the playoffs. God damn. The New Jersey Devils go from, I don't even know what their record was, but they went all the way from being below us, I think it was in the standings, to 40, 32, and 10. And they have made it to the playoffs, which means we only have our own selection as a lottery pick this year. Wow. What a roller coaster of a season for them. And now they're probably going to go on to win the Stanley Cup somehow, but hopefully next year they don't make the playoffs because we do still have their selection. But if we would have beaten them in this game, I think they could have missed the playoffs. Yeah, because the Sens got knocked out. Hurricanes also won their last game too. So if the Devils lost this game to us on the 30th, they would not have made the playoffs. But unfortunately, let them win. That sucks. Well, it is what it is. And we had a much better second half, I'd say, of the season than we did in the first half, too. So we probably aren't going to get a super great pick this year. But we obviously could try and move up because we do have multiple picks and all that. So let's take a look at our stats here. See where we finished in terms of the entire league and all that. But hopefully we have somehow a lottery luck on our side here. So we are going to be finishing 26th in the entire NHL. So the chances of us getting the first overall pick are pretty slim still. But who knows? Maybe we move up. Maybe we fall back a little bit. But I hope that we could kind of move up a couple spots. Like I said, we could try and move up regardless because we do have 2 first rounders. We have multiple seconds. So in terms of goals for per game, we were one of the worst offensive teams in the NHL. We were 4th worst. And the worst was the Minnesota Wild. All right. Goals against per game, we were not too bad defensively. Kind of closer to mid-table. 3.28 goals against. Power play percentage, 11.8, is second worst in the NHL. Only St. Louis behind us. And the penalty kill was not bad at all this year. It did fall off since the start of the season, but it was a top 10 penalty kill on a team that didn't do too well. So penalty kill was great to see. 5 shorthanded goals, 20, 2 on home ice, so above 500 there, but very bad on the road, 15, 22, 4, 5, 1 in our last 10 games. But I'm guessing, yeah, the Devils, probably one of the hotter teams as of late. No, actually, they kind of slid a little bit going into playoffs, still 6-3-1 in their last 10 games, but they had a very good season. If we go to their player stats here, or actually, let's go to their goalies. After we look at our player stats, we'll look at New Jersey stats for sure, because I am very curious on how they got back into the playoff hunt, but kind of surprised they made it. But first and foremost, what a rookie season for Kari Mäkinen. Is he a Calder winner this year? 30 goals for a playmaker, 60 points, -2. So he's a better goal scorer than I anticipated, because I anticipated him to be a huge passer, but he could score goals too, which is great. He also had 30 penalty minutes, so this guy is 30, 30, 30. Also, if you times his jersey number by 2, you get 30. So that's kind of strange. I don't know what this guy's fascination is with the number 30, but I will definitely take a great rookie year for him. Maybe a Calder favorite, unless that franchise guy does better. Poitras on 52 points, -20. Not bad offensively. But like I said, he's kind of just a stopgap player anyways. 35 points for Rakoff isn't too bad either. Bstad hit 13 goals again, so despite being a low overall and a fourth line guy, I do really like the way Bstad could score some goals for us. So he's not been too bad. He's not been too bad. Left wing side of things, we have Frundell on 80 points in 82 games, so he was below point per game. Was plus though, 17 power play points. So his the power play numbers definitely improved a bit in the second half, I guess. But yeah, another very solid season for Anton Frundell. We have Sale on 44 points. So Sale, after getting moved into the top 6, did relatively well. And Crane actually improved drastically, I'd say. Its plus minus is pretty atrocious at a minus 32, but 16 goals and 38 points. He definitely was a lot better as the season went on, I think. So if we look at like the later months here, after January, he had 6 points in 11 games in February. March, he had 8 points in 15 games, but was minus 7. In April, he had 5 goals and 2 assists for 7 points in 8 games. So he definitely was a lot better down the stretch, and that's what I want to see from the kid. So hopefully he can get back into our top 6 again next season. We had Philman on 28 points, Neiman on 26. Not bad. 17 goals for Neiman. So there is some interesting stats here. Right wing side of things, we have Cook on 34 goals and 60 points. So a good year again for Tyrone Cook. He definitely shows that he has that goal scoring ability. Rookie season had 35, but now he's up to 34 goals this season. A little bit more points and a better plus minus. So yeah, Tyrone Cook is looking like he could be a guy that could score goals consistently for us, which is nice. And he needs a nice contract out of his ELC. So I'll probably give him like a multi-year deal if he could score goals like that, I think. Maggio on 22 points, Nemec on 16. Jamson played 5 games, had 2 goals. Not bad. From a defensive standpoint, Dobson on 63 points, so good year for Noah Dobson. How much year does he have left? Only 3 more. That's kind of crazy. Because I remember when we gave him that extension. Houghton on 26 points, not too bad. 8 goals, 18 assists. It's not as good as last year, but maybe he'll have a better year this year. Who knows? This coming year. Salmelainen, 24 points. I'll definitely take that from Salmelainen. That's more points than last year, better plus minus. So anti-Salmelainen showing that he could play a good 200-foot game, which I like. Lamoureux, 17 points. Bichelle, 10 points. Not as good as last year for sure when he was with Ottavainen. Boyd on 7 points in his rookie season, minus 12, isn't too bad. And then Kudravsiev, or whatever you want to pronounce his name, Kirill, was not really much of a factor. Goaltending, Khudobin on a 905 and Solovyov on an 896. Both of them split the amount of games they played this season. Both had the exact same amount of wins, almost the exact same amount of losses, and OT losses, and same shutouts. But Khudobin was the better of the two. But we do have to prioritize one of them. So I'd say probably one of them gets dealt in the offseason. But I think it would probably be Khudobin just because he's got the lower potential. He's also older. But I'm not too sure which one would simulate better in the playoffs and all that stuff. So it's up to you guys. I don't know. We could probably trade one of them away, or we could try and still run both of them. But it'll probably be tough to do so with the salary cap, right? In terms of the entire league, let's take a look at some stats here. Actually, let's go to New Jersey for a second. I do want to take a look at how they end up making the playoffs. Jack Hughes got injured in the last game of the season for them, so maybe that helps us a bit. But looks like they got some pretty good offense from their top line, so that might help to carry them into the playoffs. From a defensive standpoint, Luke Hughes was good as well. What about the goaltending, though? Spencer Knight on a 902. How was he this season? Because if we look at split stats here, if we look at October 2-5-1, he was pretty bad. November he was 2-6-2. December 7-2-1. January 4-4-1. February 8-1-1 all of a sudden. So at February, this is when New Jersey started to get into the playoffs. And in March, 6-4-0. April 4-1. And then if you look at their backup in Mac Guzda, I would assume he did some good stats as well. Let's take a look at this. February would be when they started to play good, probably. 2-1-2 in March. He didn't play any games in February. And in April, he was 1-0. But not the craziest goaltending results. I don't even know. It seems weird that they made the playoffs. But I could definitely see why with the amount of offense they had throughout their lineup. But at the same time, they started the season off so bad. Yet they made it this year. And Matt Barzal had 98 points, which I almost forgot to mention. Because obviously we traded him there for those first round picks. How has he been since he's joined the Devils? 100 points and 98 points. He's been fantastic. Very good. And he's a pending free agent? No, they gave him an extension. That's actually kind of nice. So they did extend him, but it does kind of suck for us in that sense too. But yeah, he does have an extension. He has a 9-team no trade. So that's kind of interesting. All right, let's take a look at stats around the league now. Now that we've seen the Devils and how they made it back into the postseason a bit. So Byfield led the league in points at age 28, 123 points. Was not expecting him to be up there, to be honest. Nathan McKinnon on 120. We had McDavid on 114. Looks like a couple 100-point guys at least this season. Most goals this season was Connor Bedard with 65 goals. We also had McDavid on 63 and McKinnon on 59. Everybody else was 49 and below, though, which is kind of surprising. So not a ton of offense throughout the entire league. Let's look at best defenseman for points. It's going to be Cale Makar, not a surprise. 102 points. Quinn Hughes right behind him with 101. Both of them exact same plus-minus. So if Hughes and him tied in plus-minus in points, I wonder who it would give it to. Because that would probably be a pretty big standoff for the Norris Trophy. Adam Fox finished third with 77 points. So these two guys are on a different planet completely. All right. Best goaltender this season in terms of wins, Joseph Woll in Anaheim with 47 wins. Damn. Most shutouts, Jesper Wallstedt with 7. Best save percentage by a starter is going to be probably Igor with a 924 through 54 games. Goals against average is probably technically Igor as well. So probably Igor, I feel like, or you may give it to Sam Ersson for the 46 wins with the Vezina. Any goalie goals this season? No goalie goals. Any crazy assist numbers? 4 from Saros. Rookie numbers now. The most rookie points is going to be Mäkinen. He doesn't have a plus-minus like Misselli's, but he has 11 more points. I think Kari Mäkinen might have won a Calder for us, which is fantastic. Obviously, St. Louis traded him, this guy to us. We had a lot to give up, but I think this guy definitely is going to win a Calder because the point totals are way, way better. The plus-minus, obviously, on Michelli is good, but I don't think it warrants him getting it over him. If he does get it over Mäkinen, I'll be kind of a little bit annoyed, but it is what it is. But Mäkinen led at least rookies in points. And somehow scored 30 goals, too, as a playmaker, which is awesome. All right, let's take a look at our AHL team, actually, briefly, too. See if they did good enough that they might make the playoffs. So if we go to forwards and go to AHL... Olin, 62 points. Yeah, the plus-minus in the point production on this AHL team makes me think they actually did make the playoffs. A lot of good plus-minus results down there, which is nice. Very good depth scoring, too. Yeah, I think they definitely made the playoffs this year. Pratt on 47 points. How is he now in overall? 76. Okay, he might make it soon as like a depth defenseman. Sierra, 37 points. Pretty good rookie year for him. Pecker on 25 points, plus 47. God damn, he's also almost NHL ready too. Yo, this is good. This is good. Goaltending. Medvedov a 916 and Nikulin a 927. Let's go. Yeah, I think the AHL team is playoff bound. Definitely. Which is great to see. So let's hope that Bridgeport could take home a Calder Cup or something this year, because that could give us a lot of good prospects for our team in the next few years. And obviously we're going to be drafting well this season as well. So hopefully we get ourselves another good prospect for our team this year too. So I think we want to see who ends up winning the Stanley Cup this year. So let's go ahead and do so. Find out who ends up winning the Stanley Cup and all that. And find out the awards and wrap up the season. But not a great year for this team, but there is a lot of promise with the AHL and how it's simulated, and also how some of our young guys simulated on our NHL team. So let's simulate to the draft and find out who wins the cup. Obviously, we'll see if we end up winning a draft lottery somehow, but I don't think we will. But honestly, if we move up a couple spots, that'd be good. If we don't move up a couple spots, we could still move up with the Devils pick if we want to. But, yeah, let's see who ends up winning the cup this year. Is the Devils going to win the cup after they surge back into the playoffs? Because if they do, that would be kind of funny. But it wouldn't be kind of funny, too. AHL playoffs, they are on to the next round. Okay, so they're on to round 2, it seems like. Come on, let's keep on getting those notifications that the playoff round is done. Because that will definitely show us that they're going to the next round again. I think they might have gotten eliminated, but I don't know because we haven't gotten a notification. Yeah, I think they did get eliminated, unfortunately, because or else we would have gotten a notification by now that the round was over, I think. Damn. That's unfortunate. As New Jersey has fired their head coach. God damn. So they literally fired a head coach that helped them get back from way below 500 to the playoffs. And it looks like the Devils must have lost in like round 2 or 3. Or maybe the conference finals probably. But the Florida Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup. Milwaukee wins the AHL. So unfortunately, no AHL Calder Cup this year. Let's take a look at these awards. How far did the AHL team get in terms of the playoff bracket? So it was a Florida-Chicago Stanley Cup Finals. New Jersey ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs, so that's good. They lost to the Rangers, which means we are going to have at least a decently high-up pick for a team that made the playoffs, but obviously I wish it was lower. And then in terms of our AHL team ended up losing, where's Bridgeport? Or am I completely blind? Did they not make the playoffs? No, it said they made the playoffs, right? Wait, let me look through this. My eyes may be just blind completely. Oh, there we are. I just didn't see our logo because I'm not used to the Fisherman logo. We ended up beating Providence in the first round in 5 games, but then we got swept in the second round by Springfield. That sucks. Oh well, at least that AHL team got some playoff experience this year. All right, let's take a look at the awards for the year. So the Florida Panthers winning a Stanley Cup. Colorado won the President's Trophy for the 3rd straight year. Damn. Chicago, the Clarence S. Campbell, and Florida, the Prince of Wales. Individual awards, Quinton Byfield wins the Art Ross. Hart going to Nathan MacKinnon. Cale McCarter-Norris. Connor Bedard, the Lady Byng. And there it is. Kari Mäkinen is a Calder Trophy winner. I knew he was going to win it. The plus-minus shouldn't have played a factor anyways. But Mäkinen wins the Calder. So that's a huge one for us. I really like that one. Definitely shows we made the right call by moving up to get this guy. Or we're trying to move up to get this guy and then basically trading for him with the Blues. Obviously, it was a little bit unrealistic, but I do really like that we picked this guy up, and he looks promising for next year and years to come. Boquist won the Conn Smythe? What? How did Adam Boquist win the Conn Smythe? I got to take a look at his stat line because there's no way he could win a Conn Smythe, right? God damn, he must have had really good numbers. Shesterkin on the Vezina, Erson on the Jennings, Mattinen, the Masterton, or should I say the Bill Mattinen again, like I said last season probably. Connor Biggs, or not Connor Biggs, who's Connor Biggs? C. Biggs, anyways, Jack Adams from Montreal. Quinton Byfield, the Selke, in the same season he won the Art Ross, interesting. Nathan MacKinnon, the Lindsay, Connor Bedard, the Maurice Richard. Okay. But I was going to say, what is Boquist's stats looking like? I'll look at the AHL for stats briefly, but I do want to see what Boquist did for Florida, because that is kind of a surprising Conn Smythe winner. We did have one AHL award winner, or 2 AHL award winners, I should say. Our goaltending is the best in the AHL. Medvanov and Nikulin taking home a Harry Haps. Nice. So that's cool to see. All right, let me go to Florida stats here. I do need to see how Boquist did for Florida because that's just one of the biggest, weirdest ones I've seen. So if we go to the Florida Panthers here, Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart had more points. Boquist had 23 points in 25 games still. It's because of the plus-minus, I think, again, that he won the Conn Smythe. So interesting that it would go to him instead of somebody like Tkachuk or Reinhart. But still, I mean, Boquist technically could deserve it, but it's kind of weird seeing a defenseman win it. So there is that. And let's go to Mäkinen's player card just so we can see his Calder Trophy in his repertoire now. Hopefully he builds off that next season because that is exactly what I want to see from a young guy. So if we go here, 30 goals, 30 assists, 30 plus 30, or not plus 30, 30 penalty minutes. Wins him a Calder in 2030, 31. So 30, it just seems like a big number for this guy. But that's a great year. An absolutely great year. All right, so now that we've seen all of that, now we got to find out where we're drafting this year. We have a chance to win the first overall pick. Are we going to find a way to do so? Probably not, but let's see what ends up happening in this 2031 draft potentially. We moved to number 2. Okay, that's very good luck. Very good luck. We go from 7 to 2. We could try and trade for the top pick if we really want the top pick, as we have a late pick too, but we don't have to. But we have a top 3 selection. That's awesome. San Jose fell from 1 to 3. Minnesota moves from 2 to 1, but that's a huge jump for us. I like that. That's really good. That's really good for our prospect pool. So we will have a top 2 selection this year. And let's take a look at retired players. I'm assuming we're going to lose Yanni Gourde. Jeez, I can barely talk. but I'm not too sure. In terms of NHL stuff, like Stamkos, Zibanejad retires. Some pretty big names. What about Yanni Gourde, though? Is he down here at all? Yes, he is. So Yanni Gourde has hung them up at the age of, what was he? 39 years old. Goddamn. So Gourde's gone, as we expected, but nobody else is going to be too old to retire, probably, on our team. So good luck to Yanni Gourde in retirement. In terms of defensemen, best is Hampus Lindholm. All right. Best in terms of goaltending, Connor Hellebuyck has retired, and John Gibson. So some bigger goaltenders. Interesting. So there is all that. All right, any coaches? We lost Peruka. It was literally that goalie coach I just hired, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in this episode. In terms of our NHL team, we did not lose a single coach, but we could change our coaching staff this offseason. So go continue on that. And let's go continue on that. And we will take a look now at what this draft class looks like, the progress reports, and our contract situation. So first and foremost, the contract situation. Who's up for renewal this offseason? Cook is the big RFA. He's going to need some big money. He's a good 30-goal scorer. He only wants $4.275 for a year. He doesn't have huge organizational interest. If we go to 8 years, he wants almost $8 million. So we could give him a multi-year deal, or we could wait a year and then give him a multi-year deal. It's up to you guys on that. Poitras's a pending free agent. We don't necessarily need to bring him back, but we could. Neiman's also a pending RFA. Same with Edward Sale. Michelle's a pending UFA. Same with Lamoureux, Philman, Bstad. A lot of the filler type of guys that we brought in over these last few years. All right. In terms of goaltending, the big one, obviously, or the big two, I should say, both RFAs, Khudobin and Solovyov. Solovyov dropped back down to an 84. Khudobin still an 86. Medvedov's up to a 70 in the AHL as well. He's an RFA too. Khudobin is asking for a 6-year deal at 8.65. So we could trade away his rights and get ourselves a first-round pick for the future or something like that. Or we could lock him up long-term. We didn't have Solovyov, who obviously probably wants to be paid like a starter as well. He wants a 1-year deal at 7.7. He has more high organizational interest. He doesn't want long-term deal, though, yet. So we probably have to prioritize one of these two goaltenders this offseason and then find ourselves a backup. So I want your guys' opinions. Who would you bring back? Who would you bring back? Because if we look at like their career numbers, Khudobin has been the better goaltender, but also he is older by 1 year. And then you have Solovyov, who is 23 and a little bit lower overall. He has generated an X factor. He actually had an okay season this year in terms of winning games, but he's never had above a 900 save percentage right now. But he has the better potential. Had good AHL numbers in the playoffs before when they were down there. Both of them were pretty good picks. I mean, Solovyov was a first-round pick. Khudobin was a fourth-round selection. So I honestly don't know who I would choose between the two. I think I'd probably go Solovyov, but I honestly don't know. So I need your guys' feedback on that. Who would you bring back? And who would you potentially trade away for future first-rounders or other prospects for that matter? So there is all that. Like I said, we could bring them both back, but I don't know if that's something that's going to work well for us in terms of the salary cap because of that. Okay, final things we need to take a look at, the progress reports. So if we go to here, let's take a look and see if there's any good growth that we need to take note of. Mäkinen got a lot of natural growth, I think, this year, right? Yeah, natural and mostly actually statistical. Goddamn, I hate statistical growth. Cook, a lot of statistical as well. Statistical really sucks because then you end up overpaying on people. Some natural growth and some statistical drop-off from Solovyov. Boyd's up to an 81, and his is all natural growth. Love to see it. Crane had a lot of natural growth, some statistical. Frendell and stuff like that, staying around the same. Salma-Leinen. Natural growth, love to see it. Okay, for the most part, it looks like we're getting some good growth from our team. What about in the system? Leg is up to a 62 already. That's not bad. Because, what was it? Senator Otaku said that Leg wouldn't pan out, potentially. But there's a chance he could still. 62 at 20 is kind of low, but at least he's growing. Giordano's up to a 65 at 18 as a lowly. That's good to see. Bobolev's up to a 66. So we are getting some growth from some of our prospects, which is good. Not too sure how much of them will be in the NHL, but we are getting growth throughout our entire system a bit. Ericsson's up to a 74. How good was his season? 55 points and a plus 25, 4 points in 8 playoff games. I mean, Eriksson might generate enough growth to be in the NHL next year or the year after that. So that's kind of nice. Prince is a low leads up to a 63. Pecker, he saw as a 76. He could be on the defensive core next season. Had a great year defensively. Was terrible defensively in the playoffs, though. -9 in 8 games after playing a plus 47 in the regular season. Goddamn. Always seems like the case, huh? Wallace, how about you? How was your season? You're not generating a ton of growth, but 51 points this year, plus 17, 2 assists in the playoffs. Didn't score a single goal. Damn. So a couple bad playoff numbers, apparently. But there is all that. All right, the draft class. So if I look at our draft board here, what picks do we got? We have 2 in 18. So the Devils pick is the number 18. And then we have 14, 28 in our 7th and a 2nd round. We have 2 third-rounders. We have 2 fifth-rounders this year. So we could technically maybe package some of our seconds to get another first-round pick if there's somebody that we could find. We don't have to do that, though. But regardless, we have some good draft capital here in the first round at least. Like 2 and 18 is nice. 18 is not a bad spot for a team that was in the playoffs, though. I will definitely take it, but it would have been better if it was a draft lottery pick. I do kind of want to move up to get this Tuukka Jääskeläinen guy, though. Kind of. Because he's kind of a good player. Like, he can play both center and right wing. And he's a sniper, was it? Yeah, he is. That would be very nice. Like, him and Cook could both play right wing, potentially. There's also Oshie, who's a right winger as well, but he's just two-way forward, which is a lot of the type of things we already have. There's also a power forward in Sanders. And then there's also Nabokov, who's an offensive defenseman. That's kind of neat. Oleg Nabokov. Bjorkstrand, who's a sniper as well, and plays center. So there's some interesting players. I'd probably lean towards maybe trying to move up to number 1, but I don't know what we would give up. Like, we do have picks that we could add to our 2nd overall pick to get number 1. Do we want Jääskeläinen that bad? I feel like we might want to. I mean, it looks like Oshie might be the better overall of the two based on the physical attribute. So, I mean, we could get Oshie still at number 2. This guy looks like he's going to be really good with the A+, but who knows how good he's going to be compared to the other guys. Yeah, I don't really know. Is there any good steals in this draft in the late first round? We do have 18th as well. There's a medium elite that's supposed to go right one spot before number 18. Potentially in Jakob Leeson. So I would like to draft this guy with that pick from New Jersey potentially. So we could try and move up in that spot instead of the first round, early first round spot. So a guaranteed medium elite there. Is there any guaranteed low elites and stuff like that for later rounds? There's a medium elite goalie. We could draft more goalies this year. Pedro Hainsey. We'll pin him. This guy might be a medium elite defenseman that's supposed to go in the 2nd round. We do have multiple 2nd rounders already. So that's kind of an interesting player. But is there any guaranteed low elites for like round 7 or something? Oh yeah, there's the one we pinned in Wong. I forgot about him. He doesn't look the best, but he's definitely going to be a prospect I'd be willing to take. Oscar Eriksson, maybe a low elite, can't tell. Yeah, a lot of these guys are unconfirmed. All right. Well, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we have some tough decisions to make, especially with the goaltending situation, I think. And obviously, if we also want to move up more in the draft or anything like that. But we have the 2nd overall pick. I'm excited to see what we could snag up with that selection. And the future is just getting more and more and bright with the amount of prospects we just keep adding to this team. So very excited to see what this team's looking like going into next season and all that as well. But anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.